Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fidelity Next on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those who are tuning in for the very first time, Fidelity Next is our flagship student webcast aimed at discussing topics that matter to you as a student, young investor, or graduate transitioning into the workforce. I'm your host, Emily Ananuevo, and I'm very excited about today's topic, all about Canada's new tax-free savings account called FHSA. Whether you're planning to buy a new home soon or owning your own home is a dream of yours down the road, the First Home Savings Account allows you to save up to $40,000 tax-free towards the purchase of your very first home. Now, I'd like to introduce our very special guest who is in charge of letting everyone know about FHSA at Fidelity and who's helping oversee the FHSA campaign for investors and advisors. Please welcome David Daladouire. David is here to give us a breakdown on what this new savings account is all about and what the main benefits are. David, welcome to the show. So happy you could join me in studio.
Thanks for having me, Emily. Happy to be here.
So David, let's get straight into it. If you can tell our viewers what FHSA is all about and some main highlights and elements to it.
So the First Home Savings Accounts, Emily, was introduced by our federal government and will be available this April. And this First Home Savings Accounts, FHSA, is to help first-time home buyers with their down payment. It's a combination of the tax-free savings accounts as well as the registered savings plan. And first-time home buyers will be able to contribute up to $8,000 annually with a lifetime limit of $40,000, which can be achieved within 5 years.
And now this is the perfect time to tell our viewers that if you stick around to the end of the show, we will provide you information on how Fidelity is holding a contest where we will help you boost your down payment to your very first home. So stick around to the end of the show where we will give you more information. Now, David, in your explanation, you said how the FHSA is sort of like a hybrid or a combination of the TFSA and the RRSP. So can you go into detail about the similarities and differences between all three?
Sure. So Emily, like an RRSP, you'll be able to contribute to a First Home Savings Account, an FHSA, and your contribution will be tax deductible. So what does this mean? That you will be able to apply that contribution and reduce your taxable income, very similar to an RSP. But at the same time, there's some similarities with the TFSA, which you will be able to withdraw your funds from the First Home Savings Accounts on a tax-free basis, similar to the TFSA, as long as this is for the purchase of a first home.
So David, once you open up an FHSA, can you break down further what the contributions and tax deductions are like, and what are the main benefits to this investment vehicle?
Sure. So Emily, as we mentioned earlier, there will be an $8,000 contribution limit per calendar year, meaning from January 1st to December 31st. And a contribution lifetime limit of $40,000, which can be achieved within 5 years. If you do not use your $8,000 in a year, you can carry forward any unused contribution to the following year. So if you use only $4,000, if you contribute $4,000 this year, you have an unused contribution of $4,000, which can be applied to the following year.
Okay.
So next year, you will have your $8,000 annual contribution limit plus your unused contribution limit of $4,000, which will be about $12,000 that you can contribute next year. However, the unused contribution can be carried forward only once to the following year. And unlike the RSP, your contribution, as I mentioned, can be applied per calendar year from January 1st to December 31st. So if you contribute the first 60 days, it will not be applied like an RSP to the previous taxable year. It will be applied to the current year.
Okay, so a lot there. So from what I understand, like you're explaining, carrying over, if I just contribute $4,000 in 1 year, I can then carry over $4,000 plus $8,000 in the next year?
That's right.
Okay.
So your contribution will be $12,000 the following year.
And from what you were explaining too, the FHSA is similar to the TFSA in that when you're ready to purchase your first home, you can take that lump sum out tax-free.
Correct, correct. So, Emily, to withdraw from a FHSA, so if you're ready to purchase a home, you're ready to withdraw your funds from an FHSA, first of all, there will be no limit in terms of the amount that you can withdraw. So, if you contribute, for example, $40,000 after 5 years, and your capital, your contribution appreciate by 25%, so you have $50,000, then, and you are ready to purchase a new home, then you can withdraw $50,000 on a tax-free basis. And the good news is that you do not have to repay that amount back to your FHSA. And that's a key difference between a withdrawal from an FHSA versus a withdrawal from an RSP within the first-time home buyers program. So the first-time home buyers program, the key difference here is that there's a limit of $35,000 that you can apply for the purchase of a first home. But those $35,000 that you withdraw from a registered savings plan, an RSP, is almost like a loan. It's a loan from your RSP. You take it, but you have to put it back within 15 years, starting the second year after your withdrawal. So the difference between really FHSA withdrawal and RSP withdrawal is that for an FHSA, you do not have to repay your withdrawal, and it's on a tax-free basis, whereas on an RSP, there's a limit of $35,000, and you have to repay that within 15 years.
Okay, that's a great explanation, because I was going to say, many years ago, I used the home buyers plan to put towards the down payment of my first home and apartment. So with the new FHSA, that doesn't need to be repaid after 15 years. It works totally different.
No, it doesn't have to be repaid. And the good news as well is that both the home buyers plan under the registered savings plan, RSP, as well as withdrawal from an FHSA can be combined. So let's say you can withdraw $50,000 from an FHSA and $35,000 from an RSP. You can total withdraw $85,000 that can be applied to the down payment of your home.
So for an investor listening today, a young person who's maybe thinking about saving up for the very first home, depending on what your investment strategy is, there are now many investment vehicles you can choose from. Obviously, this brand new one, FHSA, which is coming out in April of this year. Now, David, if you can just further break it down around the eligibility around the FHSA, how young can you be to open up your own account? Can you have multiple accounts? And what's sort of like the criteria if you've owned a home in the past?
Yep.
Can you still open up this FHSA?
Yes, so there's multiple criteria to open an FHSA. So first of all, you need to be a Canadian resident at the time of the account opening. That's the first criteria.
Okay.
The second criteria as well to open an FHSA is that you need to be 18 years old or older. And the third criteria is you have to be a first-time home buyer. So what does this mean, Emily? Is that you cannot have owned a home for the past 4 years at any time. So that's those three criteria that you need to meet at the time of the account opening for a first-time home buyer plan.
So what happens if you don't end up using the funds to purchase a home? I mean, you said earlier that once you open it, there's a 15-year sort of expiration date to it. At the end of the 15 years, what if you don't use those funds to purchase a home for whatever reason? What happens to it?
So yeah, so Emily, like as I may mention earlier, the first home savings accounts, as soon as you open one, there's a 15-year life span. So after 15 years, you will have to close your first home savings account. So you have two options. It's either you purchase a home and then you withdraw the funds on a tax-free basis, as I mentioned, or if you are not purchasing a home and if you decide that it's not the right time to purchase a home, well, the good news is that you can transfer those funds, those contributions to a registered savings plan or retirement income fund. So if you transfer those FHSA contribution to those registered plan, this is a non-taxable transfer, and it will not add to your contribution room, the RSP contribution room. If you decide that the transfer to RSP or RIF is not for you and is not for your situation, you can still withdraw the funds as a non-qualifying withdrawal, which is it's a withdrawal not for purchase of a home, but in this case, the withdrawal will be taxable. So there will be withholding tax as well, that it will be part of your taxable income. So those are the two options that you have available if you at the end of your 15 years, and if you decide that you're not purchasing a home.
Okay, so that's wonderful. There's lots of flexibility, it seems like, with the new FHSA.
That's right.
Like you just mentioned, if you don't use the funds at the end of the 15 years, you can roll it over into an RRSP. So David, what should Canadians consider before opening up the FHSA? You've gave us a wonderful explanation about the criteria and the breakdown of it. So a young person listening today, what should they consider before opening up this new savings account?
Well, Emily, as I mentioned, it's a 15-year lifetime for like the FHSA. So as soon as you open one, you have 15 years to use it. So for first-time home buyers, you should think about carefully before opening one. The FHSA is a complement of the existing registered plans such as the TFSA and the RSP. So you should review this with your financial advisor, review the TFSA, review the RSP, and review the FHSA, and think about your life goal, think about your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals, and think if it is the right time to open an FHSA right away, because as soon as you open one up, you have 15 years to contribute to it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it all depends on where you are at your stage of life.
Exactly.
If you're ready to open up that new chapter, it's a big investment, obviously, purchasing your own home. So like you mentioned, think about where you are and obviously seek a financial advisor if you need more help with that. And where can people find more information about FHSA, David?
Sure. So here at Fidelity, we have posted a number of content on our website at fidelity.ca/FHSA. So we're adding more contents on a daily basis. At the same time, if you need more information and also guidance, please reach out to your financial advisors. They will be able to assist you with reviewing all the options available to you.
Absolutely. And just lastly, David, can you summarize for our viewers the main elements, the FHSA, and the main benefits?
Sure. So Emily, as we mentioned, for first-time home buyers, it's a great opportunity, a great way to invest up to $40,000 on a tax-free basis. So your contribution will be tax deductible, so you will reduce your income by that same amount and not pay tax. And at the same time, you can grow that amount, that contribution amount can appreciate over time and grow on a tax-free basis. And even if you don't choose to purchase a home, as we mentioned, you can still transfer this on a non-taxable basis to a registered savings plan, or RSP, or a retirement income funds as a non-taxable transfer, and this will be additionally to your RSP contribution, and it will be contributing to your retirement investment.
Well, something to definitely think about if you're thinking about purchasing your first home. David, I want to thank you so much for being here today, sharing this valuable information on the new tax-free savings account. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Emily.
And to our viewers, thank you for watching. And while this topic is fresh on your mind, I wanted to let you know how you can enter Fidelity's FHSA contest running right now, where we will help you boost your down payment on your first home. So all you have to do is visit the contest website, enter your information, and you'll have the chance to win $8,000 towards your FHSA 2023 contribution. Now the contest runs until April 24th. And Fidelity has additional information on the new tax-free first home savings account, a full guide dedicated to this very topic. Head to fidelity.ca, click on our Investor Education tab, and search for FHSA. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time on Fidelity Next.